All right. I can't hear the music on my end, but I've done this enough now to think that you have it on your end. Welcome to the Dean Arnold podcast. We are live streaming today, which is June 9th. No, it's July 9th. Big mistake there. It is July 9th. We are streaming the Dean Arnold podcast. I'm running for Congress, and I've got to stop this dude right here. Um, Golly. Making mistake after mistake. It's incredible. Okay, good. And we're running for I'm running for Congress. Vote for me. Go to deanarnoldforcongress.com and make a donation. I'm bringing sanity to an insane world. Indeed, I am. And we're going to talk about something today. Some of the insanity you think has gone away has not gone away. We still have some insanity over there in pockets. This story today, man, it's a curveball. Hold on to your hats. This one is wild and different. Indeed, it is. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of when I was put on trial for ardently opposing the idea that Southern slavery was biblical, for saying that Southern slavery was sin. For that outspoken belief, I was put on trial by both church leaders and state leaders. Indeed, it happened. This was about 30 years ago, I think. I mean, it's an insane world. And sometimes you get it in places you're not expecting. I expect it from the left, but I don't always expect it from the right. But this time I got it from the right. So we're going to talk about it today. Just a little brief mention of it. This all came from the soil of some really phenomenal pro-life victories that we had in Chattanooga back in the 90s. We successfully closed down the only abortion clinic in Chattanooga, and we became the largest city in America without an abortion clinic. And, you know, it was exciting. We brought a bulldozer in. We raised the building. I mean, it was good stuff. I've got a brick here on my desk, which I'd turn the camera and show it to you, but if I did that, everything would go awry. I got a brick from that building that was raised. I've had it for 30 years. Anyway, the pro-life movement was just rocking and rolling, and we had an umbrella organization for all the pro-life movements that I was on the board of directors for. And that's how this story emerges. And I'll go from there and tell you how I became was put on trial for believing that Southern slavery was wrong. I kid you not. Okay. Let's get first to our scripture of the day. Quick move there, Dean. Way to go. 1 Corinthians 3, verse 18. Let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you seems to be wise in this age, let him become a fool, that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He catches the wise in their own craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are futile. Therefore, let no one boast in men, for all things are yours, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or things in the present or things to come, all are yours. You are Christ's, and Christ is God's. Okay, this is just a great passage. I mean, how many times can we not get excited about the scriptures saying the wisdom of this world is foolishness? Because it just is. It just is foolishness. Good gracious. Insane. I'm trying to bring sanity to an insane world because the Lord says the wisdom of this world is foolishness. What else can I say about that? It's such a big topic, but let me just close with this. Verse 22, whether of Paul or Apollos or Cephas, all are yours. So the context, I think maybe we forget this, at least I forget it. The context of this passage is that the Corinthians have all these factions. They're all, I'm of the party of Paul. I'm of the party of Apollos. I'm of the party of Christ. I'm above all of you. I'm so good. But it's all party faction driven. It's envy driven. It's competitive driven. The party spirit is, I think, is one of the sins listed in a certain list of sins. Um, and Paul, or the Lord, the Holy Spirit, saying here, look, all that party driven, competitive, I'm better than you thing, that's not of God. That's of the world. That's the foolishness of the world. The world thinks they're so smart by coming up with clever. I think craftiness is used in verse 19, coming up with all this craftiness to be better than you. No, ultimately, you need to back up. You need to quit all this craftiness to try to be better than other people and move beyond that and try to love people and encourage them and let yourself be lessened. That is not the way of the world. So, great passage. So glad we could talk about it today. Let's go now to the gospel of the day, Matthew 13. He explains the parable of the tares, which I think we talked about yesterday or the day before. You know, an enemy sows weeds into the field, and the farmer says, "Don't go after the tares. You'll kill the good seed, the good plants." Verse 39, the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the angels. Therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of this age. 42, and he will cast them into the furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. So let's just focus on that. Then the righteous will shine forth as the sun. That's nice. You know, just because Jesus is full of the Beatitudes and he's saying love your enemies and got this different way, that doesn't mean that at some point in time he doesn't lay down the hammer. Oh, he does. He lays it down hard. He lays it down harder than you could possibly imagine. For instance, when he's going about his business in AD 30 and preaching love and joy and peace and patience and long suffering, and ultimately gets crucified for it and that sort of thing. He's very long suffering, and he waits 30, 40 years before he finally lays down the hammer. And when he lays it down, all of Jerusalem is completely destroyed. No stone lays upon another. The temple is gone. It's just, I mean, can he lay down the hammer? Oh, yeah. When he lays it down, does he lay it down good? Oh, yeah. Is that what he's going to do at the end of this age? Oh, yeah. So some things you think are just like obvious, but we've gotten so wussified in our culture that it's not obvious anymore that at the end of the age, God is going to take names and kick butts and bring some serious justice to this world. He is. Let's not forget that. This passage makes it clear. Uh-oh. Look what I did. Found a new cigar yesterday I really like. Macanudo Sumatra. Okay. Let's get into our story of the day. So yeah, the pro-life movement is making incredible strides in Chattanooga, and it's really a kind of a glory time. And then some weird things happen. So I have a colleague. His name is Doug. Great guy, a longtime close friend and colleague and mentor, and sharp fella. He and I were both working at an organization, and we were trying to figure out what to do with the property of the abortion clinic that had just been raised. And Doug had this great idea, because he's an extremely creative person, and he's founded a lot of wonderful things, to build a museum there. And he called it the Imago Dei Museum. Basically, that a museum that talked about how important it is to understand that mankind is made in the image of God. So he was trying to kind of broaden the tent. It's not just about abortion. It's also about various holocausts. It's also about the way we treated the Native Americans. It's also about slavery, Southern slavery. Ooh, shouldn't have mentioned that one. Well, we sent a newsletter out talking about all this kind of stuff. And we got this letter, long letter, from a elder of a Presbyterian church, Bible-believing Presbyterian church. Long, multi-page letter about how terrible it was that we were going to say that Southern slavery was wrong and was not biblical. He had a long, very detailed series of arguments to the contrary. And he said we were bringing harm and possible destruction to Western civilization. Wow. Okay. Well, what do you do? Well, I wrote a response to it. Was it in the newsletter? I can't remember. I certainly wrote a response to him. And he didn't like it. And so we had a big powwow. Him and me and Doug and Dr. Dennis Bizzacco, who was a great friend and pro-life hero, a Georgia state legislator, the guy's pastor at a PCA church, a couple others. Oh, and this scholar that was at Covenant College for a time, pretty bright guy, got a doctorate from Edinburgh in Scotland on like really judicial theory or something, I forget. But we all got together and we accomplished nothing. We talked for a long time, but nobody persuaded either side. So, okay, there it lies. You know, we move on. What did I learn? At that point, I learned, wow, I'd been involved in a lot of interracial stuff. Doug and I had done like interracial citywide revivals, black pastors, white pastors coming together, preaching the gospel. I'd gotten some African Americans to run for office against pro-abort African Americans. And I was also involved in, I got like a guy to run for state Senate, and he won. Had a couple of friends win state legislature. I was very involved in their campaign. I was very involved in the first Republican congressman in this area. I was very involved in his campaign. I was involved in a lot of stuff. But what I learned from this first initial meeting was that, oh my gosh, I've been telling all my conservative black friends and all my black friends in general, you know, this thing about, oh, you think that there's all these racists out there and all that kind of stuff. You're just paranoid. There's people who have strong beliefs about, you know, the Southern cause was about states' rights, you know, or, you know, that we need to be very outspoken about certain pro-family issues, even though in the black community, you know, there's a high unwedded rate and that sort of thing. You know, but it's not racism. You know, you need to back off. You're paranoid. Well, I find out that I was wrong and they were right. You lift up some rocks and you're going to find biblical arguments for racism, for whites being superior to blacks, and that Southern slavery was right. Okay, I did. So I did learn that. But anyway, so we moved on, and everything is going to go away. You know, that chapter is going to be over, except for the guy who was the PCA elder who wrote this long letter, who was a very public and vocal champion of biblical slavery, biblical Southern slavery. He decides he's going to run for office. He's going to run for state legislature in Georgia. Chattanooga's right on the line of Tennessee and Georgia. So in North Georgia, he's going to run for legislature. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. The last thing we need, trying to, you know, build bridges with the African-American community politically, is some yahoo running for state legislature who's a vocal opponent of biblical slavery. That's not going to be good. And so I contacted the guy and his campaign and his friends, and I said, you know, if he doesn't drop out, I'm going to expose his pro-slavery views. I mean, he's on the record and he's written stuff and whatever. And I stored up the hornet's nest. They were mad as hornets. But 3 or 4 days later, he dropped out. Thank God. But that wasn't the end of it, because I was on this organization I mentioned earlier in the show. That was the larger umbrella pro-life organization for the whole community. I was one of 10 members of the board of directors. And the chairman of the board, who was this guy's pastor, PCA pastor, he said he was going to bring me up on charges, have me kicked off the pro-life organization because I was stirring up division among the brethren. Like, okay, really? But really. So I asked him, I said, what if someone was pro-abortion and someone spoke out against it? Would you call him divisive against the brethren? He says, well, I think the issues are different. Okay. All right. So we have the trial. One of my good friends, who was a state legislator, seconded the motion. Didn't like the fact that I was going after his friend. Okay. We had a trial. I think what happened was, for some reason, it got delayed. And so the trial was another day, and I couldn't make that. I was going through some of the worst personal trials of my life during this time, and defending abolition was just not on my top 5 list of things to do during the time. So whatever the conflict was, I didn't make it to the actual trial, and he didn't succeed. And so I remained on the board. He had threatened that he would resign from the board of directors if he didn't succeed. It may have been that he said he'd resign as chairman, but whatever. I had to go back to the minutes and look at this because I wrote an article about it. I'll try to put it in the show notes or in comments here in post. A long, detailed article. There's a lot of nuances to this and complexity, but I won't be able to give you in this oral presentation. But anyway, I got sidetracked. I couldn't remember if he said he's going to resign as chairman or resign from the board itself. And in the minutes of these meetings that I looked at years later and wrote that article, it showed that he was still on the board of directors later, but not the chairman. So I don't know what happened there. But I was not removed from the board of directors. Okay. So there was church leaders, there were civil state leaders, state legislators, and other people. The reason I mentioned my friend Dr. Dennis Pizzacco, who passed away a year or 2 ago, is in some of these discussions, he was on my side, and he was like, I wouldn't want to be enslaved. I don't know. You guys believe what you want, but I'm just glad I'm not a slave. It was really a pretty simple argument. He was a really sharp guy. Wish he was still here because of some issues he was really, really sharp on that I'd like to interview him on. Anyway, so let's back up a little bit. What have we learned from this strange incident where I'm trying to get pro-life, pro-family, Republican people elected to office, particularly African Americans, forging alliances with African Americans, and then suddenly rises up other leaders in the white pro-family community that are championing or trying to champion biblical slavery. Southern slavery was not a sin. What do we do with that? I opposed it. I made the choice, counted the cost, that I was going to publicly oppose it. Glad I did. Oh, by the way, right after all this went down, about a month later in Alabama, there was a guy, state senator running for Congress, who champions slavery as biblical, not a sin. And big headlines like nationally about, how he lost his primary. He made a fool of everybody, which is what I was afraid was going to happen in Chattanooga. Anyway, I counted the cost and we got past it. But what do we learn from it now? Why am I sharing this story? Well, what I mentioned before, which is I've got black friends who kept telling me, man, all you white people back there, man, y'all racist, man, y'all like the Klan, you like the, you know, and I'm like, no. It's these are good, godly people. You're mischaracterizing, which may be generally true, but not completely true. Like I said before, you lift under the rocks and here they come. I got a very close friend, sharp guy. We had a long, visceral, heated argument. He believed Southern slavery was okay and was biblical, and I didn't. So they're out there. And what it really comes down to is you've got to be biblical. All right, let's talk about the whole biblical thing. Is Southern slavery biblical? Well, I will tell you right now that it's not. And I've got to bring up a scripture to help argue this. You'd think you wouldn't have to argue such things, but unfortunately we do. Come on, man. I shouldn't I have that? Yeah, there it is. Nice. Okay. There's a lot of verses and there's a lot of ways to oppose this teaching that Southern slavery was biblical. I mean, some people want to say that United States is kind of like biblical Israel, which had a covenant with God directly to do just war against Philistines and stuff, and that's just not the case anymore. Israel like that no longer exists, and if it did, America wouldn't be a version of Israel. So you can get in all those arguments. If you read the article, it'll talk about it. But this is the main refutation of Southern slavery. I'm sorry we have to get into this, but we do. 1 Timothy 1, 9 and 10. 9. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but the lawless and disobedient. And then he goes on and mentions all the lawless stuff. The profane, the murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, manslayers. Okay, verse 10, here we go. For whoremongers, for those who defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, perjurers, etc., etc. Men stealers, man stealing. That is the key thing right there. Kidnapping. Basically, Southern slavery was the result of kidnapping. Okay? Free men were kidnapped on the continent of Africa, brought to the Southerners. Some like to say that almost all the slave traders were Jewish. Well, maybe they were, but Southern Christian plantation owners were buying those slaves, and they were stolen. Kidnapping, men stealing. This is a list of sins in the New Testament by Paul. You can't just steal men. I fantasized in some of those arguments that I was having with these high-level people. I just wanted to get a couple of my friends, and when they're coming back out of the meeting and going into their car, getting a couple of my buddies and just grabbing them, throw them in the back of a truck, and put them in a cellar for 3 months and say, hey, I decided you're a slave. Well, that wouldn't have been good, but it makes the point that man stealing is just not something you can do. Okay, what else can we get out of this saga that I went through? Well, I fought for the truth and for the right in this particular battle. Paid for it, suffered for it, took my licks. But you know what that means? That means I have confidence when I'm dealing with other issues. When I'm opposing Black Lives Matter because they're pro-homo and they're pro-violence and just terrible, for America. And I'm vocally opposed to Black Lives Matter in the midst of a society that was afraid to say a thing. You know, everybody's afraid. Well, I was outspoken, and I'll continue to be, because I'm not worried about being called a racist. Call me racist. What the heck? I don't care. I know that when it really matters, and I can bring my gifts to bear on trying to advance the truth of all people being made in the image of God and being equal under the law in God's sight, I know I'm out there fighting for it. I'm not racist. So that's one of the things we can take away from this is when you have an opportunity to speak out, if you've got a friend who's racist and talking about Southern slavery was not sin, you need to say something. Speak out. If you can speak out publicly, more power to you. So that's another thing we need to take from this is you can speak out and not be so fearful of being called a racist, which seems to be like the number one fear of white people in America right now. You can get away from that if you do the right thing in other situations. So that's another takeaway. Third takeaway, I might be forgetting what the takeaways are now, but we were doing some really awesome work, that pro-life organization, when this was all going down. We were bringing in Jane Roe of Roe v. Wade. She came and spoke to a group of 400 people at a church. We did this reenactment of Roe v. Wade with a drama troupe that I brought in. And Jane Roe testified that her whole story was a lie, that she was not raped on a pool table. And, that whole story was concocted, and she was against abortion. And then the companion case, Doe, that lady came in and spoke and said, I didn't do any of this stuff. I never got pregnant, never had an abortion. They forged my name on some documents to get this thing passed through. So all this was happening. We got plaques at the what's now that Imago Dei Museum turned into the National Memorial for the Unborn, which is out there in Brainerd. You can Google it. It's one of the most powerful places I've ever been to. I go to there once in a while. Every time I cry, I never cry. Go to the National Memorial for the Unborn. Visit it. If you're visiting Chattanooga, it's a must. But anyway, out there are a couple of plaques by Jane Roe and Mary Doe. And all that good work was being done, and it could have been upended by this craziness of trying to defend biblical slavery. Jesus Christ is Lord. He's Lord of white and black. We are all equal under the law. We are brothers and sisters. We need to bear with one another. Whites need to bear with blacks' weaknesses, and blacks need to bear with white weaknesses. They are there. And we can do it. So that is the story of the day. Oh, looks like we got some comments. Let's check them out here. Hi, y'all. Hey, how many kidnappings today in Europe? It's rising. So I think this person is hearkening unto in Ukraine. They can't replace the army, so they just run through the streets and they just kidnap people and take them out there, and they end up dying in like 4 days. It's awful. In history it'll be viewed as one of the more awful epics. But yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. But you're right. Man stealing is wrong in any country, in any place, at any time. Lots of left pro homo. Okay, so he globo homo is the term that is often used to describe America's foreign policy. Very, very sad. Thank you, Verbodidio. Thank you for all your comments. Please comment some more. Other people, please comment. I think we're wrapping it up. Vote for me. I'm bringing sanity to an insane world. Give to my campaign, DeanArnoldForCongress.com. And today is July 9th. Wow, I keep making that mistake, don't I? And let me just check my little list here, because every now and then I forget. share, subscribe, like, and I think we're ready to go. Let me bring in my media assets, and we're gonna play the music. This has been a crazy story. I hope you've liked it. I'll try to put the larger article in the show notes or comments in where I post these things. It's a hard story for me to tell. I can't believe I went through it and lived to tell it. Here we go. Being Arnold.